and come up with a prediction for the banking industry over the next 50 years, optimistic and pessimistic. What do you think?
Oh dear, oh dear. I mean, the pessimistic side would be, if you take the Gartner report from, what was it, 2018, that had 80% of banks disappearing by the year 2030.
Mm-hmm.
That might be wrong. It might only be 50% of the banks disappearing. But I think that is not an unrealistic prediction, that the future will see a number of banks reduced dramatically.
Mm-hmm.
That a lot of it will be taken over by what today are seen as non-banking activity from the Alibabas, whoever it happens to be, whether it's a retailer, whether it's the Amazon, whether it's Apple, those organizations getting into the world of money. Because actually, you know, banking is really just about the technology. It's about those sort of bricks and clicks that exist there. But it's very much, if you don't get in amongst the people and understand the emotional elements of what people need, I think the banks have got a real challenge in the future. There's another group, but that won't be for all. There'll be other banks that really have got into this element of working with customers, finding solutions, widening the range of services. I think the future will be ones where banks start to offer a wider range of services. You talked about the element of the restaurants. If you visit somewhere, that's not a banking product, but it's a service, a sort of concierge type service where I can add value to you. You might have, it might be because you're a valuable customer, it might be because you pay for the service. But I think there's an element of moving into other aspects of activity, whether it's in retail elements, whether it's in health, for example. I think health will become a bigger and bigger issue. I think that's come, particularly over the last few months with COVID, that people are realizing now how important health is. And as you look at, if you look in the UK, for example, one of the groups of people who are more likely to suffer are people who are overweight. So the government, including Boris Johnson, who has already lost, I'm told, somewhere over a stone in weight. Of course, he had COVID, but his view is we need to make our country fitter. People become fitter individuals and fitter financially as well as fitter healthily. And I think there's a big opportunity for the banks to play a bigger role in people's lives, but not in your face, not with the product arena, but very much more the services that you need day in, day out. And I think you can play a big role as a bank. So, you know, I think that the good and the bad. I think there'll be banks that decide it's the money making that's the key driver, and that they may well do quite well for some time. But over a period, customers, in my way of thinking, are going to migrate towards those that are more interested in the world at large, the sort of CSR environment, global emissions, all of those. The youth of today are more engaged with that world than the older population. The older population are leaving them to inherit something which they've got to fix in terms of, you know, global emissions. You know, I think there's an opportunity there to be positive contributors in so many aspects of people's lives. And I think the banks that do that are going to be the ones that have got that cultural fit to do it. And there are banks around doing some great things. I think that, to me, culture is what drives the way the bank thinks. And that comes from the top of the organization. It's not just dreamt up by a team of people. It comes from the top team wanting to drive culturally to create something where there is value, not just how many products did we sell last week, but how do we make people feel? How do we help them through their various life stages in a way that enriches their lives, makes them enjoy life better, and we as a business benefit accordingly.